What a blast from the past! 2013 was a big year for LEGO. Well, it was kind of like what I would say is like the modern age for LEGO. I don't think we've really escaped it pretty much since like 2020, 2021 anyway. And so like this era of LEGO is very special to most people, and this is a very special era to me when I started collecting probably the most that I ever had. I took like a mini break in 2012, but then 2013 and 14 I came full swing, and I pretty much haven't stopped. Actually, that's a lie, I did, but I'm not gonna get to that year until we get there. And honestly, this was a year that like I used to have so many LEGO sets for, and now that I looked back and actually try to accumulate everything I personally have, I have way less. And that might be just kind of the fact that like while as a kid, I grew up with so many sets and so many different things. Like most of the figures that I have displayed right here are from sets I don't actually own anymore. So we are gonna go over all the LEGO minifigures first, and then all the LEGO sets, and then we're gonna go through all like the actual sets that I always wanted as a kid, or just kind of like stuff that I look at now and I'm like, that's cool. So for the rest of the year, we're going to be doing one every 2 months, and that's going to be starting from now. And we're going to hopefully try to get to 2016 by the end of the year, and then do the 2026 one in December, or probably the end of November. I'm kind of crossing my fingers at this point. And the first thing I want to look at here is a brand new LEGO separator that came all the way back out in 2013. And this was only in 2 LEGO sets ever. And I did make an actual video about every single LEGO separator. So it is one of the most expensive LEGO separators I own in my collection. Well, that's not true. And hey, while you're at it, why don't you go subscribe? Cause it's me, the OC Mr. Bricks. Now right off the bat, we have an amazing LEGO Galaxy Squad minifigure. This is the only LEGO Galaxy Squad set that I've ever owned, but it's also like one of the first polybags that made me so nostalgic. The fact that this is like the last LEGO space theme that's ever come out is actually kind of perplexing to me at this point. Like the fact that this is the last LEGO space theme that has ever come out, that is also kind of like crazy, especially for like how much LEGO loves to do space at this point. So you know what, tops off to these amazing detailed and designed minifigures, but I get to finally talk about my favorite polybag. I've actually talked about Galaxy Squad on the channel before, but I want to talk about it a little bit more. Nah, but for real, we actually gotta talk about the GOAT Chase McClane. I finally actually get to talk about LEGO City Undercover. Never played the video game. Maybe I'll play it off the Switch one day, who knows? So he's actually already come in like quite a bit of sets. He's pretty much like the mascot for LEGO City at this point. He's just a radical, cool, even better version. Hot take, this is a better version than Clutch Powers right here. What about that chud? So we have these amazing clone troopers right here. We have a couple 501st troopers that were from the ATRT, and honestly, hot take, maybe I do kind of prefer the newer versions, but like I grew up with these, and honestly they're very iconic, and they only came in very few sets. However, if we kind of look at this Lieutenant Trooper from the Battle Pack, I gotta say, what an amazing Battle Pack. This was like the first color variant trooper that I ever got, and actually I got like 3 of these figures because I had like 3 of these LEGO sets. However, I got this Elite Forces clone trooper right here, and actually it's funny because I'm like, I knew this was always like a clone trooper from the Yoda Chronicles, but it is kind of funny because it's technically a stormtrooper helmet right there. Very unique. I got it, I think it was from like either like a Lego book or something like that. It just fell over a couple minifigures. And then we have a normal Phase 1 trooper. Now the Phase 1 trooper is really cool. I like it a lot. However, this is a real weird one right here. Now this is a little bit weird. Where did this little Ewok come from? I don't know. This is from the Ewok Village. I do not own the Ewok Village. So where did he come from? I don't get it. However, I do know where Poggle the Lesser came from. Poggle the Lesser came from the Duel on Geonosis, where I also got this amazing Christopher Lee. Wait a minute, there are 2 of you. Where did you 2 come from? This doesn't make any sense. I am so sorry. What? So hey, Mr. Christopher Lee, how are you alive? Whoa, it's like Inception. I love that movie. But this Yoda right here, there's actually 2 Yodas right here. One has died and one is pretty freaky from the memes. I just quoted a meme right there. That's pretty funny. Why do I still have this thing off my head? We're not even celebrating Mario anymore. Now, funny thing about this Soldier of Rohan is that it's not even an accurate minifigure, since the top of this helmet actually goes to Carl Urban character. Now, we all love Carl Urban. Now, this isn't Carl Urban. However, it does actually belong to Carl Urban's character, and I just have the helmet for some reason. So I kind of lucked out right there. But I have a Count Dooku and Saruman and a Gandalf right there. Now that, because of the new Darth Maul show coming out too, I have this amazing Mandalorian figure right here. Now look at this. You can't even complain about this minifigure because those visors look great, unlike the new ones, because the new ones are trash. Trash. Ugh. They should just make Old Republic canon again because I love the Old Republic. I'm gonna give it a big kiss right there like I just did, because unlike this amazing Boba Fett minifigure right here, wow, what an amazing minifigure that I just pulled out of my booty hole right there. Look at that. It was actually exclusive to the updated visual dictionary that's not even updated anymore. And the funny part is that this was the original concept from Ralph McQuarrie, which is an Imperial Mando, which then they adapted into Rebels. So this is technically a Star Wars Rebels minifigure. Let's celebrate. Okay, what's the next step of the agenda right here? Okay, we have a Tim Drake Robin. This Jedi right here actually was from like Clone Wars and Attack of the Clones. That came in the homing spider droid, and now she's gone. We're gonna scoot you all out of here. Come on, scoot, scoot. We already talked about y'all. Come on, move. All right, let's keep moving. All right, we got some Ninjago right here. Look at that, samurai dude. Because we have the Golden Ninja. Now, the Golden Ninja. This, I thought, was always such a rare exclusive figure at the time. And honestly, this was like one of the only Ninjago sets that we'd gotten as a kid. And, what's that? Oh, wait, what? No, wait, they made more of you? Now this was the year we got way more into LEGO DC. Honestly, there wasn't that many LEGO Marvel sets to talk about. The only ones that I really had was the Iron Man 3 with the War Machine and Tony Stark, and I really do like the Mark 42 that they used for this, honestly. I do not have the helmet, sadly, but I do have that, so, you know, that counts for something. I always had the War Machine, and the War Machine was always one of my favorite Iron Man variants. It's basically just an obvious souped-up Mark II. However, this was supposed to technically be the Iron Patriot variant, so realistically, this is like the only time we've ever gotten a War Machine Rhodey from Age of Ultron, because technically this would be the version of Rhodey from Age of Ultron. Is a little weird. However, we also have Aldrich Killian that actually glows in the dark. If you turn off one of these lights, look at that. He's glowing. And then we also have the Arctic Batman and the Aquaman and a Mr. Freeze right here. Now this is the only Mr. Freeze and Aquaman that I have currently in my collection. I think this is the only time they've ever done an Arctic Batman. And then we have the Dark Knight Rises, and I'm pretty sure this is the only Dark Knight Rises LEGO set that's ever come out. Batman from Dark Knight Rises, the only version of him. Like, this is great to get a Gary Oldman version of him, but I'm missing his hairpiece right now. And I'm surprised they haven't made another version of him. I'm gonna also assume that the next Batmobile that's gonna be coming out next year is the Dark Knight Rises, like the tan variant, so we can probably get him, and hopefully another Bane, the only Tom Hardy Bane that we have. And honestly, it's probably one of my favorite versions of Bane, even though like it's not comic accurate enough, but it's such a cool figure regardless. And they are going to return in some capacity. It's more of a big fig version in the new LEGO Batman game, which I'm going to be making a Batman video on soon. So look at that, that's awesome. Now I do have a couple miscellaneous figures right here. Like I have this mechanic and this rock climber right here. And then I got a couple LEGO City minifigures and this British police officer here and a pro wrestler. I actually think you're 2012, so get out of here. Go. Yeah, but like this was one of my favorite CMFs that came out, so you know I had to get it. Now I have the two Droidekas from the Battle Pack, and so we may as well just talk about the Battle Pack because it has two amazing clone troopers right here, and I'm so sorry that I disregarded you guys before. So you came with two amazing minifigures right here. Actually, this build also got referenced in the 2022 blister pack. It is supposed to be like a command vehicle that was only shown in Attack of the Clones and technically in the 2003 Clone Wars game and Battlefront 2. However, you know, it's technically not scaling accurate, and it would be like a more of a giant dome than anything, but I'm kind of happy that like this exists in the first place. I always really adored this build. I like the little flap, so it looks like you can enter the command vehicle, and then yeah, it kind of opens up, has a flick fire little missile inside of it, and you can put some weapons in the back of it too, so I always kind of adored it because of that. However, my favorite battle pack of this year was the Sith and Republic Trooper pack, and honestly, I think the speeder was actually in reference to the game. I think in the Old Republic MMO game, you can actually use these speeders, and it is a very funky speeder design. It doesn't feel like Star Wars sometimes, but I think I got that opinion from 5 Lonely Clones because, you know what, I do watch other YouTubers sometimes. Actually, he makes some goated content. I do like his hot take videos, so go subscribe. And then we have the Galaxy Squad Lego set here. And I have talked about this on the channel before, but this is one of my personal favorite polybags. Not objectively the best polybag, but it is my favorite. It really is. Oh, look at that. I'm getting a call right here. Now this is a set I've actually never gotten to talk about on this channel before, but the set 060011. 2013 I would say was like the last year that I was truly a kid and actually like really played with Legos, honestly, before I became a middle schooler and became, you know, one of the cool kids, because all the cool kids couldn't just play with Lego, right? However, I used to play with this set all the time. It was like one of the only sets that I had an amazing Lego shark for, and I would make so many scenarios in my head because this was genuinely the most perfect set for like $7. For $7, you literally had an amazing cool safety patrol officer on a really cool ski bike right here, and it's a very iconic design for me. I know they've used this design for a lot of other polybags. Honestly, if this was genuinely a polybag, this would be one of my favorite polybags that they've ever made, because you do get an amazing, but then you get this awesome, like, cool surfboarder dude, and it does actually have a sticker for the surfboard too, so you can go surfing those waves while, oh no, a giant shark is attacking. And like in the box art, it would be like, oh, the shark is attacking the surfboard and be eating it, nom 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 nom, like that. And the funny part here is that this is like a perfect play scenario. There's obviously a threat, a person to save, and someone to save the day. Literally the best way to play with any kind of set. There's like an obstacle and a solution. This is me saying adult words right now. Now, the ATRT that came out in 2013, I didn't even watch that many Clone Wars. I didn't even really watch Clone Wars at the time, but Christmases back then really meant something to me, and getting anything Lego Star Wars was like the world to me. When I got this set for Christmas, I was confused. I'm like, wait, Yoda with a clone trooper that wasn't green? This didn't make sense, and what was this? I didn't even, like, it didn't look like a destroyer droid. There's a giant sniper in the middle of it. But because I didn't watch much Clone Wars until like the year after, when all like season 6 came out and I watched it all on Netflix, I know, what a time to be alive. Now this was like the only big walker that I had at the time, and honestly I don't even have that many walkers at this point, except for just collecting all the ATRTs that I can. I'm only missing the 2005. Like, even comparing it with the 2020 variant, like this thing is massive, and like I always loved these huger scales to these ATRTs. Actually, if they made a UCS version of this, that would be even cooler. I do like the mini ones they had from like the ATTE, I believe, or like the turbo tank from 2016, whatever that one was. I did like those kind of like minier scales of it, but like, this is actually the third one that I've ever owned. I actually had two when I was growing up, and then this was my third one I bought recently because I couldn't find the other pieces to them, but this is my original Droid Aka, so. Now I am missing pieces to this. This is the smaller version of the Museum Chase. That was also the smaller set from the Chase McLean set. I am missing some pieces from it, so it doesn't really matter. And I also have another polybag set, this like little seaplane. I'm also missing quite a bit of pieces to it too. I just wanted to show them off because the final and last set I wanted to talk about, this amazing throne set from the Lord of the Rings. My only true Lord of the Rings Lego set because they're so mad expensive. Now I do have the Gandalf and Saruman for it, so basically this set is complete. I am missing a couple pieces like this little dome piece. I do have it for the Atlantis, so I guess I could replace it just to mock it up a little bit. I did recently get a Frodo minifigure, but this is a 2012. This is technically a 2012 minifigure that I actually want to get the polybag for, just the build for it anyway, so whatever. However, this amazing 2013 set is one of the only ones I have a majority of the pieces for anyway, and having two of these like very rare minifigures, and basically until the Bardoor set that came out like a couple years ago at this point, this was the only Eye of Sauron proper, and like, it's so mesmerizing. I will find the ring. I will find you that ring. I'll get it. Wait, Frodo, where did you go? Frodo, I'm so sorry, Frodo. Okay, so the two things that I'm always really fascinated about this year is that with the green separator, it only came in two sets, and on Bricklink, the first two sets that essentially show up is the Palace Cinema and the Horizon Express. And those are the only two sets to ever own the Lego separator, and they're two very expensive sets, so I'm always surprised that like the brick separator itself is only like $5, and I think that's very impressive. Like the orange and black very complement each other very well. Though honestly, I'm looking at a lot of like the UCS sets and like the big icon sets of this year, like the Ewok Village, the Sydney Opera House, and the Tower of Uranth. The Tower of Orthanc. It's the 2 tower, right? You can build 2. It is one of the 2 towers. Okay, we already have the Baldur set that came out not too long ago, the actual Mordor set. So technically, we do have both 2 tower Lego sets. Fight me in the comments. Now this is definitely one of the last years that like architecture like was cooking on all cylinders. Like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Imperial Hotel, the United Nations headquarters, and the Eiffel Tower. The United Nations headquarters, actually my old roommate actually did have, and I did a video on it last year for architecture. Though we gotta talk about the amazing polybags that came out here. There were 4 different Friends ones. Who cares? It was the first year of Friends. Friends sucks and it does poorly on my channel, so we're never talking about it again. Okay, the Robin and Redbird Cycle Polybag, that was actually for the LEGO Batman 2 DC Heroes Unite, and honestly, this is like a very sought after set that I want to get personally right now, though the minifigure itself I do actually have. It is one of my favorites. You can argue if it's Tim Drake or not. I think it's still considered a Tim Drake minifigure because it is one of my favorite Robins ever. The Iron Man vs. Fighting Drone polybag is pretty cool. It's whatever. It's based off like, you know, like Iron Man 3 and stuff. But the gun mounting system polybag, which is not even called the Iron Patriot polybag, funny enough, it is like legitimately one of my favorites. And it's actually like one of my sought after minifigures right now too, especially since Rowan actually owns this figure and rubs it in my face every chance he gets. However, we can both solidify that we are very happy with last year's Hall of Armor set, since basically you can get an Iron Patriot and an updated mold for it. I like the updated mold, so there's that. Though like a lot of these polybags are so great. Like obviously the Galaxy Squad like polybags that I talked about earlier, those are like some of my favorites. Those are like the ones that I grew up with the most. Though the Z95 Headhunter, the Mandalorian Fighter, the Republic Frigate, the Embarred MHC, holy crap, a lot of like obscure vehicles that like they'll never make in LEGO, and nevertheless like they will make in polybag forms. Like most polybag paperbag sets that are gonna come out nowadays are essentially gonna be like popular ships and like things that will like kind of sell very quickly, very well. It's like, oh, I want a mini Millennium Falcon, or you know, there's like an AAT that came out, or hey, the Razor Crest one just came out, right? Or it's gonna be coming out. I'm doing a review on it. And then there's like all the Lego Chima ones too. I kind of want to get one. Honestly, I gotta make a Lego Chima video at some point. I still gotta make another Nexonite video because you gremlins were eating that up a couple years ago and not much last year. Oh my gosh, there is a Krang laser turret polybag, and there's like 4 mini turtle. Oh my gosh, this is actually hilarious. This is a contender for goated polybag of all time. You actually get all 4 Ninja Turtles, but they're like Minecraft Steve biome ones. This is just so okay. I gotta make a video on this too. I like there's so many goated polybags. Tonto's Campfire polybag and the Lone Ranger pump car polybag. I need to get both of these. I need both of them in my inventory now. Oh my gosh, and the Thunder Wings Crater Lego set. I actually like this set a lot, mainly for the ulterior build. It's a giant robot. I liked the Crater giant robots. And as much as I also like the Mindstorms EV3, the Tronic version 3, look at that, he has a mohawk. There's a mohawk on there, and that means that is like what I wish that Lego would do nowadays. But you know what? They probably still do. Oh, whoa! Brain Attack polybag. This is where Hero Factory actually gets good, when they had the Brain Invaders in 2013. They literally had it like they did with the Borak from 2002, which you would think it's a copycat of Bionicle. I'm afraid it's not. You see, because they Inferno XL, what does that even mean? That is definitely more Ferno. Who the fuck is Bulk? I don't even know. I'm not. Okay, I'm gonna have to admit something here. So I used to have a lot of like Lego 2013 Lego sets, but I don't actually own many of them anymore. Like I remember having this High-Speed Chase, like Chase McCain, like set back in the day, and it was one of the best sets ever. You get like an entire robber car. It was like a very nice kind of like Ferrari type. Then you get a golden motorcycle, and then you get a giant SUV with none other than Chase McCain, and even the license plate had a code that you can lock in Lego City Undercover, which is basically Lego GTA. So we officially have a Lego GTA set before Lego GTA 6. But man, I had so many of the sets, like the Surfer Rescue, but the diving boat I used to have, like even all like the fire. I remember one of my friends had like the City Corner, but that was a reissue. That technically came out like years prior, so it doesn't actually count. I never grew up with Chima. Like, I knew it was there, but I never actually had any of the sets, and every time I would get one, I just wouldn't. My brother was kind of in that same boat, too, because, like, literally the only set of, like, that Ninjago Chima era that we got was the Golden Dragon, and I still have the Golden Lloyd. And honestly, I thought I was like, you know what? I'm pretty cool. I have the only Golden Ninja. Guess what? They kept making more. The Golden Dragon itself was pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Even the side builds and, like, the side enemies that you get into, too, like, it was a goated set. But now looking back, it's not even like close to being the best dragon that they have even come out and released with, so. It is 2026. We're not there yet. We're gonna be making that retrospective soon too. Like, I can just goy boy over all of the Galaxy Squad sets essentially. Like, the Warp Stinger, that is like my elusive white whale right now. That is legit a set I've always have wanted. I think that that mosquito look to this set is just so cool. I love the way that they make the eyes, the way like the stinger is basically just like the Hero Factory, like Kanohi balls essentially. I know we was from Bionicle first, though I love the red contrast with the green, with the like these Galaxy Squad sets, even some of the other ones too, but I actually prefer a lot of the bug designs over like the ship Galaxy Squad set designs personally, though the Galactic Titan, I think I would get the Galactic Titan. Honestly, I want those blue figs, especially that like blue robot dude or like cyborg whatever. That millipede is sick. I love that millipede design. I love the bug designs in this. Oh yeah, also the Eradicator mech. Oh, I just want more orange dudes. I'd probably actually get the mech. Honestly, that would probably be one of the videos I would do if I can get that set right now. But okay. When it comes to Star Wars 2013, I used to own almost like more than 50% of the sets of the wave. I had the Clone Troopers vs. Straight Acres Battle Pack, the Republic Troopers and Sith Battle Pack, the AT-RT. I did have the Corporate Alliance Tank Droid, the Battle of Hoth set 75014. I did not know it came out until 2014 when I already had like the Snow Speeder, and I was like, wait, there are more Hoth sets, and it came out the year prior. Very elusive set to me. I did also own the Homing Droid and the Dual Geonosis. I still have all the figures to those guys, but I don't have the sets anymore, and I'm a little disappointed at that, but I did have those. And I had the Mandalorian Speeder with the Darth Maul, but I don't have the Darth Maul minifigure anymore. I'm really pissed at that too. Yeah, but I had so many of these sets. I had the Arctic Batman, but I still have the figures. I had the Bat vs. Bane Tumbler Chase from the Dark Knight Rises, the only Dark Knight Rises set they still have made. I still have the figures, right? And that's kind of the trend. All the sets that I used to own, like the Iron Man Extremis Seaport Battle, still have the figures. The Rizard Battle, I showed you that. I showed that. I have that. Didn't have a lot of the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit sets at the time. I wish I did, but I wasn't even that big of a fan of those movies until like a couple years after that. So like, Hindsight's 2020. Lone Ranger was also cool, but like, I didn't care much for the movie. Like, the movie's fine. Like, I like it more than most people, but like, I'm surprised that had so many sets as it did. Like, 2013 was like one of the most nostalgic years for me, though honestly, I gotta say, like, looking at like the whole like set list, like, I think there's a lot of great sets in here, but there's not as many sets as I thought there once was. But maybe that's just because of how much they promoted those sets, how much they was like devotion to like all like the original themes. And this is like one of the last year of like how many original themes they crammed into this. Like, Galaxy Squad was like the last original space theme, right? And that's maybe why I find such a love and attachment to it. And even the Star Wars sets were great, but it doesn't get as good until 2014-15, right? Like, this was the beginning of a new dawn for Star Wars, especially Lego Star Wars. I kind of found that in 2012-2013. I kind of thought that 2012 was underwhelming when I grew up, until I looked back and I'm like, honestly, 2013 did not cook as hard as like 2012 did. And these retrospectives have kind of given me that clarity now. But 2014 and 15 are going to cook hard, and honestly, I have way more sets. I thought I used to have more sets in 2013 than I did in 2012, but now that I've accumulated more of a collection with my adult money, that was 2012 all the way. So, but it's not going to be, it's going to be different. It's going to be different.